Look at this. We got Pacers versus Cavs, Knicks versus Celtics, Thunders versus Nuggets, and Wolves versus Warriors. What a slate. I mean, the conference semifinals, they normally are hit or miss. This year, it looks like it's going to be a hit. I'm going to here predict them all, starting with the Pacers versus Cavs, and I'm going to talk about them, obviously, since that's what a content creator should do. So we got the Pacers versus Cavs. Obviously, game one was today. That's why I want to get it out the way. Everything I said holds true. I know the Pacers just won game one. I was going to make a video on each series separately and just take a deep dive, but I figured just doing it all in one's better. Pacers versus Cavs. I think the depth of each team is a huge storyline for me because you look at the Pacers, they got 10 players that can play. Then you got the Cavs that got 10 players that can play. That means there's not going to be a second in the series where there's underperforming players on the court for a long period of time. These benches are very good on both sides. So the bench isn't going to be a problem that hurts or benefits either team significantly. And it's going to take away both of their advantages in the depth department. Now, I will say, Darius Garland being hurt, that's a big storyline already because Sam Merrill was in the lineup and they had to go Ty Jerome, but it hurt with the speed of the Cavs. And the Cavs offense took a step back in terms of speed and pace in game one, which was something I wanted to highlight because the Cavs, I have noted down for this series, both styles for the Cavs and Pacers are very high-flying, fast-paced teams. And in that matchup, whoever runs the most, generates the most turnovers, and can go in transition is going to win the series. And we saw that today. The Pacers were able to go in transition a lot more than the Cavs. The Cavs are stuck in half court. And a big reason for that was Darius Garland not being able to get the ball in the back court and go. So Darius Garland's health is going to be a storyline to watch here. Both defenses are suspect at times, and it's really hit or miss on both sides. I mean, Cavs are a better defensive team in terms of interior defense for obvious reasons. But on the perimeter, I think the Pacers got a better foundation and they got more bodies to throw at the Cavs. So I think both are suspect, but both are going to hold their own in the series. It's really just transition. Whoever wins the transition game is going to win the series. And I think the Cavs have more quality depth on offense to really win the transition game. But at the same time, the Pacers, I think they're a better shooting team top to bottom, and they play 5 out at all positions at all times in the game, which the Cavs don't have the luxury with Jared Allen obviously playing and then Tristan Thompson in that scenario. So it's a very interesting matchup. Everything the Cavs do really well that made them the 1 seed, the Pacers do just at a level right below it. So that's what makes it really hard in deciding this series particularly. I don't know, but I've mentioned depth, but the starting 5 for the Cavs is so much better on paper than the Pacers starting 5 that you really got to negate the depth aspect and just look at the first 5. And the first 5 for the Cavs is way better. And they also got 2 starters coming off their bench, and Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter. And that brings me to my X factor. I think DeAndre Hunter's the X factor in this series because he's the best matchup to guard Tyrese Haliburton. Tyrese Haliburton and the Indiana Pacers are like 27-3 when he scores 20 points in a game this year. If you keep him under 20, you got your best shot at winning the game. And DeAndre Hunter is your best defensive player and best player to put on Haliburton in my eyes. Seeing that, I'm like, okay, so DeAndre Hunter is obviously the X factor for this. And knowing how Hunter was playing in Atlanta before he came over, he was averaging 20 points while playing elite defense. If he plays to his full capabilities, there is no reason why the Cavaliers won't win this series. But if Pascal Siakam for the Indiana Pacers is going to play how he can play, the veteran, the most experienced player in the series by far, championship pedigree, already won a ring in Toronto, and it's just a matchup nightmare for everyone, especially if he can stretch out the interior presence of Evan Mobley and allow the 5 out of the Pacers to be as effective as it's been. Siakam's going to be given the Cavaliers hell. It's pretty simple in that regard. So I look at Siakam as the X factor because I also look at DeAndre Hunter as the best matchup for Pascal Siakam in terms of guarding him. If Pascal Siakam is killing, it's going to make someone else have to guard Tyrese Haliburton. And if Tyrese Haliburton's being checked by anybody else, it's going to be either someone that's not competent offensively like Isaac Okoro, or it's going to be one of their worser, like Max Strus level players that aren't exactly the best defenders, and it's going to allow Haliburton to get his 20 and just be just wreck and cause havoc. So I look at it as the Pacers do have a lot of advantages in terms of the depth of everything, and a lot of the points I listed would favor the Pacers, but I do have to think about the Cavaliers, and I don't want to change my prediction since I did have my prediction before game one, and I want to be true to myself. I have Cavaliers in 6, but after game one, obviously the Pacers could do more, but I think the Cavaliers got the better adjustment, better defense, and they're a high-flying team, and with Darius Garland being out, it really limited their pace of play, and that's why I'm going to stick with the Cavaliers winning in 6. As for the next series, which will also be in the East, I have the Knicks versus Celtics. Do you really even need to talk much about this series? I feel like the NBA world knows what's going to happen in this series, as the Knicks are just such a bad defensive team against good teams. They're incompetent against good teams. They almost blew it to the Pistons. No disrespect to the Pistons at all. The Pistons were a good team, but on paper, you have the better 5, 1 through 5, and you let the team hang around in the series. That should be alarming for you. And you also play your starters the whole game. So I was disappointed in the Knicks' approach to that. But you know what? They got to play the Celtics now. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Pick and roll defense. Karl-Anthony Towns. What are we doing? If we're going to get exposed 24/7 of the game, all 48 minutes you're on the court, you're going to get exposed. You have no chance of winning the series, especially in a 5-out, because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, and Derek White are all going to eat you for lunch, especially Peyton Pritchard too. So that's just, if Karl-Anthony Towns can't stop a pick and roll, he's unplayable on that end, but you got to have him offensively because he's the only one else that can create a shot outside of Jalen Brunson consistently. So you look at that and you're like, oh wow, Knicks are screwed, since I can't not have Cat on the floor offensively, and they can't have him on the court defensively. So yeah, they're kind of screwed in that regard. I'm just going to sum it up. Sure, Mikal Bridges, he could be the X factor, because if he plays good offensively, it opens up a whole new dimension for the Knicks, but it's honestly going to be Cat's pick and roll defense, because if he can hold his own defensively in the pick and roll, I think the Knicks will be fine in that regard, and this might actually be a competent series. But if he's getting fried on that, it's literally so easy going to be Celtics in 5. And that's why Cat in the pick and roll, it's literally specifically that. Cat in pick and roll equals X factor for Knicks. That's what I have in my notes. And then the X factor for the Celtics, I feel like, first of all, their health is an X factor, but I think the biggest thing for them is who's guarding Jalen Brunson. Me personally, seeing what Asar Thompson did, I think the closest thing they got to Asar is Jaylen Brown. And I would say Jaylen Brown at 6'6" and being athletic and being a great defender in his own right would be the best matchup. But if you want to really tire Brunson out, you got to stick Drew Holiday on him and pick him up 94 feet. And I think they should go Drew Holiday if he's healthy there, to just pick him up 94 feet. But when it comes down to crunch time, please put Jaylen Brown on him. But yeah, that's my X factor for them, because if they go with the wrong matchup, it could burn them. And if they're not picking the right matchup, it could burn them. So yeah, I'm going to say the primary matchup on Jalen Brunson is the X factor for Boston. And it might not matter, since Brunson could go for 35 and the Knicks could still lose. And that's why I'm taking Celtics in 5. I hope the Knicks surprise me a little bit, since obviously the Lakers are out. Now the next team I want to see lose is the Boston Celtics, since I don't like the Boston Celtics either. So let's pray on the Celtics' downfall altogether. But yeah, I got Celtics in 5, unfortunately. Thunder versus Nuggets, a battle of MVPs. We're going to really see who deserves the MVP. What's funny, MVP is going to be announced during this series. It's going to be Jokic. It's going to be SGA. It's going to be Jokic or SGA. My personal vote is SGA, but we'll see what happens in the series. Simple. Let's just get the first question out the way. What are the game plans for each MVP? I feel like it's easier to stop SGA than it is for the Thunder to stop Nikola Jokic, but Thunder got Isaiah Hartenstein, great help side defense, and Chet Holmgren, and are one of the best defensive teams in the league. And if you shut Jokic's supporting cast down, you're going to be able to contain him and stop the Nuggets and slow them down. So I just wonder what the game plan is. I wonder what Mark Daigneault is going to do about Jokic. And then for the Nuggets, what are you going to do about SGA? Since SGA thrives on getting downhill and getting to the basket. You ain't got a rim protector. Nikola Jokic ain't a rim protector. Aaron Gordon ain't a rim protector. DeAndre Jordan's not a rim protector anymore. He ain't got no rim protector, and SGA is going to fry that and try and get downhill all the time. So I look at that and I'm like, it's not an easy matchup either way. And these MVPs are both going to take over. So that leads me to question number 2. What role players are going to stand out and how are the role players going to play? Since obviously a big question is how good are the teams outside of their star player, especially offensively. Thunder look incompetent at times without SGA offensively, and the Nuggets, they look pitiful without Jokic offensively without him. So you look at that, but you see Jamal Murray's actually picking it up. Jamal Murray in this series is going to be very big, since if he's scoring, well, they're going to be in trouble, the Thunder, because we saw what happened last year. They might not generate enough points to compensate for Murray and Jokic combining for 75 and 20 assists. And we've seen those two do that a number of times. So it's something to keep an eye on out for. But I really want to know what the closing lineups is going to be, because I think the best matchup for SGA is Peyton Watson, but I don't know if he's going to play in the closing lineup. So what's going to happen there? Since Russell Westbrook, he's great, but he's too little for SGA. It's that simple. SGA is going to do what he does, and I don't think there's much slowing him down, especially after he had his bad series already. And then Jokic, he's not going to get slowed down either. But what are the closing lineups looking like? If I'm the Thunder, I kind of want Caruso on the court with Lou Dort and J-Dub. And then you want iHeart or Chet Holmgren on the court. That's an interesting storyline for me. But yeah, that we'll see how that plays out. X Factors. I got Aaron Gordon as my X factor for the Nuggets, because I think Jamal Murray's going to play well. He's finally playing Jamal Murray basketball. Oh my God, it took like 2 years, but he's finally back to 2023 and bubble form. Last year's performance was pitiful. It took a year. My fault. I dragged it. But yeah, Jamal Murray, he's not your X factor. It's Aaron Gordon. Since if Aaron Gordon's playing well on both sides of the ball, it means he's guarding SGA and giving him hell. And he's also being the lob threat and pestering. And he could also create a lot of havoc for a Chet Holmgren if he's guarding him, since Chet Holmgren is the 4. So we'll see what Aaron Gordon is defensively. If Christian Brown's trying to check SGA, it might be a long series for the Nuggets, though. I don't want to see that personally. I thought this is not James Harden. James Harden has a history of choking in the playoffs. SGA does not at this moment in time. Let me make that very clear. And then X Factor for the Thunder. You know they can't score without SGA. If they find a way to score consistently without him, whether it be through the 3 ball, which they're more than capable of doing since they're a 40% shooting team, or if it's all off transition turnovers, which the Nuggets do have turnover issues at times and are inefficient at times, so you can get out and run. But realistically, the easiest option is just to say, J-Dub, go out there, score 25, drop 7 assists, and get 6 rebounds. If you do that, well, you have no problem in this series. So, J-Dub, you are the X factor in this series. And I just don't know if the Thunder are fully ready yet. But I also don't think the Nuggets are good enough still. I don't care what happened in the Clippers series. I still don't think the Nuggets are good enough, especially with a more physical defense. Now, the Clippers defense was good, but the Clippers just... I mean, I was very high on the Clippers. I didn't have them beating the Thunder, and I'm higher on them than the Nuggets, and I still think that stands. But I don't doubt Jokic. I don't doubt Murray, but I'm going to have to rock with the Thunder, since if anyone's going to be able to guard these two, it's going to be this team. And last year in the postseason, physical defenses were able to shut them down. Physical defense might shut the Nuggets down and shut them up. And that's why I got the Thunder in 7. I think this is going to be a 7-game series that's won on OKC's home court, because I think it's going to go the distance. I think these two MVPs are going to have a slugfest trying to prove who is the real MVP. I think the role players are going to show up a lot, and it's going to be a very entertaining series. But the most entertaining series by far, does Anthony Edwards, the legend slayer, take down another legend in Steph Curry? And you could honestly say Jimmy Butler's a legend at this point. So, yeah. We got the popcorn out for here. I don't know who I'm picking for this series yet since it's brand new. Literally, the Rockets game just ended. So Legend Slayer versus Legends. What do we got? Oh, first off, I want to know what lineup does Minnesota close with? We just saw the Rockets dominate the Warriors with a double big lineup. You have the bodies if you're Minnesota to do so. You got Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert, and Julius Randle. Julius Randle might be shorter, but he's physical. He's just as physical as a Sengun or what do you call it? Steven Adams. He's very physical. He might not have that height, but he's physical. Draymond Green can't guard them both. Jimmy Butler, not like he's a really good defender, but he's not enough to hold those two on the interior. You could start Kevon Looney, but you didn't really do that against the Rockets when you could have. So if I'm Minnesota, I'm wondering, are we looking at a double big situation, or are we just going to rock out with what we do? Either way, they're going to have two bigs on the floor, or at the very least just one. But it's going to be interesting to see how the Warriors can adjust to their mistakes in the Houston series, since you can't just hack a Gobert like you just hacked Adams. Gobert's a much more competent shooter, even though he's not a good one. And if you let him get 27 and 24 like the Lakers did, you're going to be in hell for the series. Yeah, that's one question I got. And then, what's the Warriors' health looking like? Jimmy Butler had a scary injury. Steph Curry's thumb is destroyed. And Gary Payton Jr. the second is hurt now. They're an older team, so injuries are much easier to come by. What happens? And then your bench contributions. What do you get out your bench? Since in Game 7 they only had 3 points off their bench. It was 3 points from Kevon Looney. So I'm wondering what the bench looks like. Since the Lakers just had this issue against the Timberwolves, they do not have the depth. The Warriors do not have the depth either. You better play Jonathan Kuminga if you want a chance to win this series. Just saying. Not saying you won't win the series, but it's going to be a lot more difficult if you don't play Kuminga. But let's just focus on the real storyline. Anthony Edwards, Stephen Curry, and Jimmy Butler. This is going to be crazy. I don't see who is going to guard Anthony Edwards on the Warriors as the primary matchup. I really don't. Is it going to be Buddy Hield? Is it going to be Jimmy Butler? It's going to be Podziemski? It's going to be Kurt? Like, obviously it's not going to be Curry, but it's a real question. They're going to have to double team Anthony Edwards the whole series. It's not like the Rockets with the incompetent shooters. There's also no rim protector. I don't care. Draymond Green and Kevon Looney are not rim protectors. We just saw the Lakers run into the same problem. Now, the last time I was really confident on a series, it was the Lakers winning in 5. So I don't want to be too confident on the Timberwolves winning this series because I don't want to get burnt like that again. So I'm going to talk about the Warriors now. Steph Curry, if he's healthy, there's no answer for him. You got so many people trying to chase him around. Is it going to be Jaden McDaniels? Probably will. Probably put Jaden McDaniels there, Julius Randle on Jimmy Butler, or you put Dante DiVincenzo. Well, you have to make the adjustment mid-game since DiVincenzo comes off the bench. You got more bodies to chase around Curry, though. That's the main thing that I look at. You got DiVincenzo, Nikola Alexander Walker, and Jaden McDaniels. All three players can chase Curry around, but Curry's going to fry since that's what Curry does. If he's healthy, he's going to shoot the lights out. Curry's the one player you don't want to play ever. And then Jimmy Butler is also an amazing closer. And that's the thing, though. Timberwolves are amazing at closing. It's not like they're the Rockets. Rockets were a great defensive team, and that's what got them the 2 seed. And they also didn't have that many health issues. And if they did, they had a lot of bench players and a lot of depth to pick up the slack. Minnesota, they dealt with a lot of turnover from the big blockbuster trade going into the season. Since it was right before the season, Julius Randle was hurt a lot. Anthony Edwards had issues off the court with his baby mamas, plural. He had like 4 this year, which is crazy. Yeah, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. There's just a lot going on in Minnesota, and now they're putting it together. Now they're on a great win streak at home. Now they look like a great basketball team, and they're more complete than the Warriors, and we're really seeing it this playoffs. The more complete a team is, the better they have a chance, and that's just simply why I'm going to take the Timberwolves to win in 6. I think Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler are going to take 2 games, but they might be the best closers in the game. But the Timberwolves have the best closing lineups in the game, and getting stops against a team that is actually competent and can shoot the ball, unlike the Houston Rockets, is gonna be the downfall of the Warriors this year. Now, I don't know who I'll be rooting for. I'm rooting for whichever team that wins this series to win the NBA Finals, since, hey man, I don't want to see the Celtics win. I don't care if the Cavs win. I don't care if the Thunder win. These two teams actually excite me. Steph Curry gets number 5. I can finally have the conversations about him and LeBron and possibly put him over LeBron. And if Anthony Edwards wins, we got our new face of the league. So this is a bunch of great storylines. But yeah, I'm going to take Wolves in 6. So I got Wolves in 6, and they're going to be facing the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, and then I'm sticking with the Celtics and Cavs. Let me know who you got in the second round series. Also, subscribe, turn on post notifications if you enjoyed. Check out my latest video. It's on the screen now. Y'all stay safe. Have a good one. Bye.